Good evening. Welcome to River's Edge Homestead. This here is an update on our experimental garden. It very much looks like a mess. I don't have time to weed, so I don't do much weeding. But this here is a plot that I've been trying to develop over this is the second year of working on it. Last year I had it produce a good amount of cabbage. And this year we've ran some experimental crops to see what will grow in a heavy clay soil here in Zone 2B. Not really a good year to see exactly what we can produce because everybody seems to be having trouble with gardens this year, whether it was a funny spring, then too hot with no rain, but our gardens seem to be all stunted. But if it can grow in a poor condition or a poor growing season like this year, chances are we're going to be able to get this to grow in this soil without much amendment on a good season. So if I kind of go through and give you a bit of a history of how we planted, and what I did is I center plowed this field and then I harrowed it. So not much ground prep, turned it over, tried to let's flatten it out the best I could, but unfortunately it was really wet when I was doing it. We were in a bit of a hurry. We were trying to get the plants in and seeds in, because I am a part-time homesteader. So sometimes I'm here, sometimes I'm not in terms of being able to garden. So how we did this is we basically turned the garden, put the seed on top of the clay, and then put topsoil over top of the seed. Very quick and easy, and we wanted to see just what would grow. Now the first row was at an Ami. It did not produce. Okay, whether it just didn't like it. We got one plant and that was it. Now the next few rows, and I can't really tell you what they are, they're legumes, beans, black beans, kidney beans, white beans, cowboy beans. They all came up and they all flowered. So having said that, had it been a good growing year, they probably would produce. We got a couple more weeks, hopefully, before frost. So we'll see exactly what they do produce and what kind of beans they do. Again, threw the seed on the top of the soil, threw some topsoil over it. We had a very, not a good germination rate. I didn't expect to get a good germination rate because of the way we planted, but we do have some coming up. And next year we could probably regrow these with a little more effort put into how we plant the seed, and we do know they will grow in this type of soil with a little bit of amendment. Again, more rows of beans. They seem to do okay in this soil. We have rows and rows and rows of beans. Now I think they're going to be late. I don't think they're going to produce a crop, but we did see them grow. But I think the production is part of the funky growing season that we saw this year. We also grew cucumbers. Now the cucumbers have been producing, so nothing we did special there. Dug a hole through the plant in it and away it went. So cucumbers have been good. You can grow cucumbers in Zone 2B clay without much effort. They seem to do okay. Again, more beans, lots of rows of beans we were experimenting with this year. And again, we will try them again next year. So we have lentils. I don't think they're going to produce anything. I'm not sure what they're supposed to produce, but we have a few rows of lentils. I don't think we're going to see much out of them. And as I keep going down, peppers. Nothing fantastic here. Dug a hole through the plant in it, threw some topsoil around it, and the peppers are actually growing peppers. So we know that with a little bit of amendment, we can grow peppers in this field. Tomatoes. Tomatoes will grow. We do have tomatoes here. We have stunted tomatoes at home in our plants and really good soil. And here in the field, we have them growing tomatoes. So we do know that, hey, we can grow tomatoes in this type of 2B soil with a little bit of amendment. Basically, throw the plant down. We surface planted them, put a mound of topsoil around the plant, and they are flowering, they are growing, and they're doing their thing. Now, we did know from the past that cabbages do well in this soil. No problems growing cabbages. Our cabbage plants are doing okay. We tried eggplant for the fun of it, and eggplant has actually flowered. They're going to produce little eggplants. Whether we have enough time left in the growing season to see anything, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what these are. My wife planted them. She probably knows. They're either Swiss Charlie and spinach. They will grow also in this clay type soil. They do very well. We proved that last year. If We grew lots of lettuces. We grew a bok choy, kale. It all will grow in this 2B clay soil. We have squash plants growing. Not sure if they're going to produce this year. Again, I'm not sure if that's a function of the soil versus a function of the weather this spring. We'll have to wait and see. Again, do we have enough time left? We're in the middle of August. Some people in the north are getting frost already, but we'll have to see. And if I look some more in here, in amongst the weeds, I see onions. I wouldn't think onions would do well here. Anything that's a root type vegetable in heavy clay tends not to do well. It just can't push the soil aside to grow. Clay likes to compact hard, and it tends to stunt the growth of any kind of root vegetable. I believe these are Brussels sprouts. They're flourishing, but whether or not we get any Brussels sprouts or not is a good question. I may be wrong, but they look like a Brussels sprout plant to me. Now, the bugs are bad today. I'm in the evening, so they're out in full force. The joys of living in northern Ontario is you get a lot of bugs. Now, you can kind of see the soil here I'm trying to work with. Rocky, clay, kind of gravelly in some spots, so very, very poor soil. This fall, I'll pick some rocks, turn it again. Again, I'm not going to amend the soil much because the cost to amend a field this big and bringing in loads and loads of topsoil isn't cheap. So we're going to try and do it naturally. Keep turning in the plants, maybe plant some clover this fall and see if that'll work. Anyway, you have a good evening, and this is my update on my experimental field here at the River's Edge Homestead.